All right, so believe it or not, this week's Torah portion was discussing, I think it was Masai, discussing a number of things. We had the battle against the great Og king. One could say it wasn't in minute detail. Bambadir, chapter 33, is a famous one. It's probably written more about in chapter 22, if we actually had that book, Hashem's, the lost chapters, Hashem's Book of Wars. Anyways, needless to say, Og was the strongest spiritually. We're not talking about actual warfare, we're talking about spiritual things. The Torah is inherently a spiritual book, although there are actual events, so to speak, intertwined into the Torah. The kings and their dominions and domains mostly are discussing spiritual things. Was there really a person named Og from Bashan, wherever they're from? Probably not. Maybe. Doubt it, though. Anyways, apparently, as the story goes, some sort of iron bed was absconded from this individual. The Jews were able to conquer Og, but they survived. And of course, the Amorites really did not like the Jews at all. They won against the Jews, but the Jews survived, obviously. But in doing so, they died. So they hated the Jews so much that they were willing to die just to get back at them. Anyways, again, probably more of a spiritual metaphor. But it did damage. It's like they had like this beehive discussed. The portion right after that had some sort of beehive where bees were like around. And I kind of think of it like, when you're attempting to do something beyond your normal capacity, it's kind of like going into a beehive and you get tiny little stings, or like mosquitoes or something. And it's like, yeah, it hurts. You get stung by a bunch of bees. Yeah, not only is it annoying, it also hurts, especially if there's a lot of them. But if you keep on trying, if you keep at it, eventually you can either become the beekeeper yourself or go beyond just the bees. There's a university in the GPA called Bradley. It's got a big bee there. Probably a lot of bees roaming around there and in the area. No offense to them. Anyways, and of course, the Masai's, this is where the movie some scenes from Batman from 2013, where he's like sitting in jail, doing work on. He's just angry. The guy's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, I'm angry." He's like, the spirit makes the jump. Anyways, and so supply for your journey. They journeyed from here. The Jews journeyed from here. They journeyed to there. Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Something along those lines. Then we have another movie that comes into play. What movie was it? I don't know. There was another movie scene. I'll think of it in a second. So these things were relatively fascinating, I guess. And of course, I was thinking along the lines of Leland Stanford. You've probably heard of the Stanford University. Leland Stanford's family is worth over $1 billion. My grandmother, who's buried right down the road, her father founded Azusa Pacific University. About as many students, give or take. I haven't looked at the rolls, but maybe as much impact, but in a slightly different way for slightly different reasons. They didn't have any money. They didn't garner any money. They didn't take any money. They didn't even probably ask for any money when founding the university. The ironies, if they'd only been like atheists or something, they probably would have made money. No offense, but nowadays it's kind of like a little bit important. And but they didn't. So such is life. And so like, just think when you think of like my grandmother and father's, like they're like the Stanford of religious universities for at least California. Stanford being in Northern California, Azusa Pacific University being Southern California. And the Stanford families are billionaires. And the Dixon Graham line, last I checked, not that much. Anyway, so if you want to donate, feel free. And if you donate more rather than less, or something. And what was the other movie? Golly, there was another movie in this Torah portions. I'll think of it later. I'll probably record something if I remember. Anyways, until next time, over and out.